Okay, look, we're going to be adding a sixth step to the analysis process. So let me just set up my tools as quickly as I can here, and we'll get busy. Highlighter, and we've seen this sentence a few times now over the last few days, and it could be true that the small boat teetered on the brink of capsizing. And in fact, you probably hear it right away. It's like, hey, it could be true that the boat teetered. That's really all that we need. I mean, there's our subject, there's our verb, marks of punctuation, capital B at the beginning of the sentence. I believe there's two commas and a period at the end. That's step 3. Step 4 is highlighting the free modifiers. These are the free modifiers. I almost don't necessarily need to do the it could be true that test now, because I think to myself, like, oh, what is it that's bobbing dangerously in the water? And it's the boat. We are modifying the original vision of this small boat, and now there's this small boat teetering on in these waves, and that's a different vision than the original just plain old small boat. A boat that's taking on way more water than it should is a modified version of the original small boat. So again, we have two free modifiers here. They don't pass the it could be true that test. They're in between marks of punctuation, mark of punctuation, mark of punctuation, mark of punctuation, mark of punctuation. That's step 4. Step 5, I'm just going to get rid of that line right there. Wasn't exactly what I intended. I wanted the pen to draw my arrow. And we already said that, both these free modifiers go back and modify the original vision of the boat. So these arrows are being drawn here. And these are the 5 steps that we've been working on so far. But if we add this sixth step is this idea of what's known as leveling a sentence. So if we're going to continue to analyze these sentences, what we're asking you to do is to think about, well, what's the pattern of the sentence? What's the pattern of the sentence? And essentially, we're saying let's do what's called leveling it. And leveling it is this idea of kind of assigning a number to it. So you should know that the base clause, which is the heart of any sentence, the base clause, it's got the subject in it, it's got the verb in it, it's a complete sentence all on its own. It's always going to be assigned the number 1. So if you see a base clause in a sentence that you're analyzing, and eventually you get to this idea of leveling or figuring out the pattern for the sentence, the base clause is going to be a level 1. Whereas free modifiers, they could be level 2 free modifiers, they might be level 3 free modifiers, that's a comma by the way, here's another comma. And maybe even like level 4s, though they're fairly rare. So essentially what that means is, let's say that you had a staircase, and step 1 was step 1, there's step 2, there's step 3, and as we go up these stairs, by the way, this is an analogy for this idea of leveling a sentence or finding out what the pattern is. As you can see, as we go up the stairs, we become more specific. It's hard to write, so I'm just going to write more specific. At the bottom of the stairs, we're more general. Quite general, in fact, because this small boat, which is a very general idea, is a way different vision than a small boat that is bobbing dangerously in the water or taking on way more water than it should. Those are way more specific visions than just a plain old boat. So essentially what we're going to say is that a level 1, which is a base clause, there's a level 1 right here, is usually modified by a level 2. So a level 2 modifies a level 1. A level 3 would modify a level 2. a level 4 would modify a level 3, so on and so forth as you continue to go up the staircase of specificity. So we get more specific as we go up these steps right here. So if bobbing dangerously in the water modifies something in the base clause, like in this case boat, then it's going to be considered a level 2. Same thing, taking on way more water than it should is a level 2 because that free modifier modifies a level 1, or at least a word in the level 1. So in this case, the pattern for this sentence is a 2, 2, 1. So it's a 2, 2, 1. And that's this idea of leveling or finding out the pattern for a sentence. Just taking a screen capture real quick. Excuse me. I know it's right in the middle of the video, but just for later. We've seen this sentence too. This is one about the lawnmower, and you can see that if I'm just going to change colors to something a little bit more visual. So if we're talking about the staircase of specificity, and we get more specific as we move up the staircase, and that a level 3 modifies a level 2, and a level 2 modifies a level 1, then here's our base clause, it's a level 1. By the way, our last sentence was a 2, 2, 1 pattern. Just as a reminder. Now, rested from being left out in the winter weather, obviously you can see that this arrow is going toward the lawnmower. So this free modifier modifies something in a level 1. Coughing and spitting the first 7 poles of the chord also modifies, where's the arrow? Here it is. Modifies the lawnmower. This is a level 2 free modifier as well. It modifies the lawnmower, which is part of the level 1. And finally, moaning to a grumbled start also modifies the lawnmower. So you can see as we level the sentence, we unveil its pattern. In this case, this sentence is a 2, 1, 2, 2. So this sentence has its own unique pattern. It's a 2, 1, 2, 2. So far, the first sentence we saw was a 2, 2, 1. The second sentence was a 2, 1, 2, 2. And it looks like this third sentence, let me just see. We've seen this one before as well. Here's our base clause. Could be true that Johnson stood at the corner of Main and Stephen Streets. And you can see all these arrows, all these pre-drawn arrows, dressed in his Sunday best clothes modifies Johnson. So here's our base clause. It's a level 1. This modifies Johnson. That's in the base clause. So this free modifier between this mark of punctuation and this mark of punctuation is a level 2. This is a level 2. Also modifies Johnson, I could tell because of the arrow that's drawn. And this final free modifier, this last free modifier, waiting to be picked up from school, also modifies Johnson. And in this case, the pattern for this unique sentence is a 2, 2, 1, 2, which is different. All three of these have different patterns. I'm not saying you can't have the same pattern, same sentence pattern. It just so happens that these 3 sentences, the first one was a 2, 2, 1, this is a 2, 1, 2, 2. Sorry, the second one was a 2, 1, 2, 2. And this one right here, the one about Johnson eating a hot dog and a Mountain Dew, that sentence pattern, after we leveled it, is a 2, 2, 1, 2. That's how you level a sentence. That's how you find out its sentence pattern. I imagine you're going to try one on your own next. Good luck.